It is happening. There's finally some changes to the market. In this video, we're going to give you everything you need to know, especially about the Venice, Englewood, North Port, Sarasota areas, and we're getting started right now.
The market has been crazy over the last 2 years. Great for sellers, not so great for buyers, unfortunately. But things are definitely changing in this area. And we're so excited because we are finally going to be able to help a lot more of our viewers.
So tell us what you're seeing as far as like inventory situation, because I know that's like always been the biggest thing. Like there's no inventory. We're supposed to be at, was it 6 months inventory? Is a healthy market. And for a while we were like at less than a month. So where do we sit right now?
Yeah, so inventory is still pretty low, unfortunately, but there are homes that are sitting a little bit longer on the market, so that's helping build up our inventory. We're not at 6 months by any means, not even 3 months. We're still very, very low. There are still homes that are selling very, very quickly. There are homes that do sit on the market for about 7 days, which, I mean, it's not that great, but it's better. We were experiencing situations where homes were hitting the MLS and they were gone. Like they had multiple offers above asking, selling very, very quickly. But right now we're experiencing this, and the longer the home sits on the market, the better it is, because now that's helping build up our inventory, which still, again, it's very, very low. But this will help greatly. And I mean, I don't see a crash coming, but I do see some sort of a price correction, which is what we have mentioned in the past. Also, another thing that I've noticed is that we have a lot more homes with price reductions that have been sitting on the market a little longer. And a lot of times these homes are overpriced to begin with. I mean, homes were overpriced for quite a while, but some sellers, decide they want to go and push it to the limit. And those homes typically do tend to sit on the market. Then they do the price reductions, and then they still sit on the market for a little longer yet. But for the most part, I would say we're experiencing price reductions, a little more inventory. Homes are not selling as quickly, still very quickly than, in a typical market where homes tend to sit 30 to 60, maybe even 90 days on the market before they sell. 7 days compared to 90 days, that's, it's a big difference. But this is giving us hope that the market will correct itself.
And one great thing about places staying even 7 days, it does open up at least a little bit more of an opportunity for people to maybe come in with more of a negotiation, not so much, okay, best and highest bid, poof, house is gone. So it gives everyone a little bit more hope that there's, maybe a deal out there potentially, or what they would think is a little bit more of a fair price. We haven't really seen much of that over the last couple of years.
Yes.
Also, I think one thing worth noting is lumber prices are finally coming down significantly. So hopefully that will help on the building side of things. Have you seen anything on the building side of things, like with builders that you've talked to?
Yes, I've actually noticed a lot of builders are able to build.
Amazing.
I have a relationship with this builder, and they have had their homes basically on hold for the last 2 years. Maybe they started the home, but it's not to the point where they can actually sell it or go under contract, because they don't know if they can even get the supplies, and they don't want to disservice to the buyer, because here you're buying a home thinking, okay, I can move in a year, but if the builder can't get the supplies, you're not moving in a year. So they have finally, I've been getting emails from them, and I'm so happy because I get emails saying, this home is ready for sale. And it's like, oh my gosh, amazing.
That's definitely super promising. And obviously that also will hopefully help with the inventory issues. And then as we can build some more inventory, maybe the market can become a little more balanced.
Yes, and also this gives you a little, as a buyer, it gives you a little more time. Like even though the homes are still selling within a week, still gives you a little more time to actually make an informed decision. Is this the home you really want? Because it is a big investment, and not so rush where maybe later down the road you have regrets of what you bought.
Absolutely. And of all this, taking all this in, what would you say is the biggest advice you have for buyers right now? Should they maybe still just wait and see what happens? Or do you think like, oh no, pounce now, now's the time?
I would say it really depends on you. If you're ready to make the move, don't wait, because you might be waiting for a while. If you don't need to make the move right now and you want to get a deal potentially, I would say just wait at least 6 months in 6 months, look at what's out there, look at the inventory. It's a, higher home sitting on the market.
Wait a minute, you're a realtor. Aren't you supposed to be pushing everyone to buy something now?
Yes, just buy now. But look at the market, look at how long homes are sitting on the market. If they're sitting for a while, then you have an opportunity there to make an offer for less. And for about 2 years, we were like, you can't put in an offer for less because it just won't get accepted. You might even upset the seller because everyone was expecting, above asking. So now, if the homes are sitting on the market a little longer, you could potentially get a deal. But if you're ready to make the move and you're planning on staying in your home for a while, like don't plan on buying right now and selling within the year because you might be in trouble. But if you're planning to stay, maybe this is your forever home, or planning to stay at least 5-10 years, the market goes up and down. So, if you want to sell in 10 years, your home will be, if we experience somewhat of a price correction, your home in 10 years might be back to what you bought it for, or maybe a little more equity.
Yeah, and one thing we always say on this channel is for us, it's not about like her making a bunch of sales. Like we want you to be happy. So ultimately, I think that is good advice for the average person. If you're not in a rush to move down, I would say wait, at least 6 months, maybe even 3, we'll see some big changes by that point. But if things are going down price-wise, maybe by 6 months, it'll be even more so. So I think it would be advantageous to wait. That being said, if you are looking to move and move now, if you want to buy a house and you're worried about the interest rates, one thing to consider is those interest rates probably will be going down, hopefully 6 months, maybe a year. So you could always refinance. Just keep in mind that that higher interest rate is going to increase that monthly payment quite a bit, and you don't want to do something that puts you in an uncomfortable situation where you can't afford to pay your bills.
Right, and with interest rates too, a lot of people are comparing this bubble back to 2008 when the market crashed horribly. Back then, lenders were just giving out lenders to anyone. Like they weren't checking that you were actually working before closing. They weren't checking. It was very easy to get approved for a mortgage back then, and that's how we got ourselves into like big trouble. Right now, if you can't afford a home, the interest rate has priced out a lot of buyers out of the market, and lenders are looking at that. So if you can't afford, say you want a $400,000 home, interest rate at 5.5%, and you don't have the income for that, you will not get approved. And that's very, very fortunate, I feel like, and that protects a lot of us as home buyers or sellers, because you're not going into a home that you can't afford. Maybe you have some savings where you can live comfortably for the first 3-6 months, but after that, like, what are you gonna do? You might be underwater with your mortgage. So it's very, very difficult right now to get approved. And yes, interest rates are high, but again, you can just simply refinance when rates do calm down.
One other thing to point out, I think too, with a lot of people saying like the market was gonna crash or we're in a bubble, is again, that whole supply demand situation. That's just basic economics. Again, a lot of these new construction companies, they have like had, I'm sure the lists are dwindling at this point, but they had hundreds of people on waiting lists. Yes. So they're not building a ton of houses that don't already have people speaking for them,
yes,
or already under contract. That being said, with inflation and potentially, the stock market and how all those things are going to play out, that is going to change some of the dynamic, because some people maybe now can't afford the house that they were getting built and things like that. So we could see maybe some level of a correction because of that. But at the same time, it's not like it's going as crazy leading up to this crash as the last one.
Yes.
So I think that's why ultimately for us, we see things maybe going back to like the prices they were before everything went up 2 years ago, maybe a little below that. But I don't think you're going to see places that like end up being half the price that they were before all this started, like what happened in 2008.
Yes, and also back in 2008, builders were just building houses. Everyone was building houses, and those houses weren't spoken for. Right now, all the houses that are being built, at least in Florida,
especially in our area.
Yes, those are homes that even went into a bidding war, like the actual lot went into a bidding war for people. So it's not like they're just building, it's like those homes have an owner already. And another thing too worth noting is that Florida is very unique. Maybe the rest of the country will experience more of a little bit of a crash, price correction, but Florida, it's a state where everyone like fantasizes with retiring or moving when you're younger or living in Florida. you know, coming and having a second home, a vacation home. So that's never gonna go away.
Yeah, so ultimately, I mean, the demand supply dynamic is, I think, always going to keep the market somewhat competitive. But bottom line is, I think what you need to know is we are seeing some changes. Maybe it's a little bit more balanced and not so unreasonable. And again, probably a good idea to wait a little while unless you absolutely need to move right now. If you are looking to move to anywhere in Florida,
make sure to call, text, or email me. I am a local realtor in the Sarasota area, but I have great connections throughout the state, so I can definitely recommend you a great realtor in your area.
Leave a comment, let us know your thoughts. If you have any other questions, also leave that in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn on all notifications, and
live breezy.